Matt, can you even begin to imagine what New Mexico has gone through this season in terms of not being able to practice? Well, now they can practice, but for most of the season, not be able to practice or play in their home state?
No, I think that's something nobody can fathom unless you're living in it. Just to speak to the many road games we've had, road trips, and being gone for 4 or 5 days, and that just being in the hotel and not being able to go anywhere, and just being so confined, I would say is very it takes a toll on you mentally. I would say. And it just drains you from just being in the hotel and not being able to see anything else, not being able to go anywhere. So I can only imagine what they're going through, and I feel for them. But all the highest praise to them for still fighting through all the adversity that they've had, and being able to get back on the court.
Obviously they're your opponent and you want to beat them. There's a little bit of a rivalry with New Mexico. You've had some tough, intense games before. But does a part of you have a sympathy for them when you see them this weekend?
No, not at all. Once you step in those four lines, there's no sympathy, no empathy. Everybody laces their shoes up, all the same the way that I do. So if you're coming out there to play, you're coming out there to play and give it 100%. So no sympathy, empathy at all once we touch that court.
Your schedule on paper was tougher earlier. It seems to be getting on paper again easier later. What kind of opportunities there for you guys to pile up some wins?
Yeah, definitely. I think just coming in these last games of the season is really important, and especially for us to solidify a team as a tournament team, and speaking this to future terms. But right now we just got to take them one game at a time, and so we're not really worried about piling up wins, but taking it one game at a time and getting better every day.
A quick question about Lamont. Just what do you see in his game, and is it changing and evolving in front of our eyes now as he moves along and gets more experience?
He's definitely evolving in front of everybody's eyes right now, and I always knew that his time would come during the season, and just knowing the kid and knowing him for how long I have. He's a hard nose. He puts his head down and goes to work. He tries to get better every day, and so just seeing how he's been able to progress over this season has been amazing. And I'm seeing in practice what you guys are just now seeing. I've been seeing in practice, and over the course of the workouts that we had during the preseason, and basically since we've known each other since we were younger. So I've always known the kid can go. Kid has talent. He's just getting comfortable. Everything's slowing down for him.
What's most unique about his game?
I think his ability to get downhill so easily, with such power, and the way he's moving. People may not think he can get downhill like that because he is a smaller guard. But in some sort of way, he can get downhill like I can, and force a big to either foul, force a guard to foul, and put people in a lot of bad positions.
Number 10, Mellow Watch from New Mexico has gone for 24 or more points in 3 of their last 4 games. He's obviously a veteran in their program. You've seen him before. What are just some of the keys to being able to defend him and keep him in check?
Just playing sound defense. Malawak is a very aggressive player. He's shown spurts over the past years and them having players that were maybe the coach went to them more, but he was definitely aggressive within their offense, definitely in transition. So he will be the danger player to worry about, him being the veteran leader on that team. But it's definitely a challenge that we'll be able to step up to, and have no problem stepping up to the plate to that challenge, and meeting them when it's all said and done.
And then, you've been in the program a lot, and so you've seen the difference between like a charter flight and flying commercial. What does that do just for your preparation for the next game, or just in general for all of the players?
I think it allows us to get back earlier and get our feet under us, allowing us to be back home, sleep in our own bed, get us that comfortability, and then wake up the next day and maybe not have to get off a flight and then go to the gym and get a walkthrough in, but get a good night's rest at home in your bed, and then wake up and be able to practice tomorrow and go at it maybe a little bit harder and be mentally, physically engaged. And so I think those are some of the positives.
Hey, Matt, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Just curious if you can give us an idea of what was going through your head initially when you went down with that knee injury, and just your fear in terms of the severity of it and how nice it is to now be in the position that you're in, especially given the way you played on Saturday.
I can definitely say I'm grateful. I'm grateful that the injury wasn't as serious as it looked, as everybody suspected it to be. I'm definitely glad to be back on the court now, and glad to be feeling comfortable, somewhat comfortable in the brace, trying not to get too used to it. But I just think it's a kind of thing where you just got to be blessed. You just got to be happy that it didn't turn out worse than what it was. I think that in any given situation, maybe in another moment that I could have or anybody else could have went down with that situation, and it could have ended up a lot worse than it was. So I'm definitely grateful and blessed to be okay and be going 100%.
What do you make of this kind of tear you guys are on offensively? Was it 4 straight games with at least 51% shooting, 44 from 3? You'd only kind of hit those marks twice or once previously, and now you've done it 4 straight games. The teams you played against aren't the best in terms of defensive metrics, but there's no guarantee that the ball goes through the hoop. What's led to this run of success that you guys are on?
What's led to it is us being more aggressive, us being more decisive, and that's what we've been talking about in the film room as a team, as a program, is us being more aggressive, more decisive, especially in transition, because we know our defense is going to get stops, or our defense can be overwhelming during the course of a 40-minute game. So all it is we got to reward ourselves, and that's a key word to it. That's a key word we had was rewarding ourselves. And so I think with that said, we just went out with a more aggressive mindset and kind of took the game, took the offensive side of the ball, and it just came to us. And we're all happy to be on this run right now in this stretch. But as we crank down later into these games, and definitely against the better teams that are on the defensive end, I just don't think we can back down. We got to stay aggressive with that mindset. Remember what it is that we've done over these past 4 games and continue to do so.
How much of a believer are you in momentum when you're stacking games like this from game to game or within a game once you're seeing shots go through the hoop again?
I'm a big believer in that, and I think the track record proves so. My freshman year, we went on a, I think, 9, 10, 11 game winning streak to end the season. Last year, we were obviously on a big win streak, but I think we can do it again here. I think this team is very capable of it, and all it is to it is putting our head down and going to work.
Matt, have you thought about being in the same company as like Troy Kell and Winston Shepard with some of your statistical achievements, and what does that mean to you? 1,000 points, 500 rebounds, 200 assists, 100 steals. What does it mean to be in their company?
I would say that when I came into college, I talent-wise, I'd say I was with those players and wanted to hang with those players and guys like that. But to now today be here and statistically wise, really be there and be present in this and still be going. It's nothing but a blessing to be able to pour on my God-given talent and play as hard as I can every game, every practice, every day. I've just been trying to soak it all up right now. Because this is my last year and take everything into account. And so I'm really happy to be in that crowd, in that audience. I can definitely say that it's something that I was looking forward to coming into my senior year. Was solidifying my name as one of the better Aztecs to set foot on this campus. But right now, all I'm worried about is winning games, getting better every day as a team, and getting to the tournament.
You mentioned on offense how you want to be more aggressive, or your team wanted to be more aggressive, and that's what's led to some of these high-scoring games. Was that the takeaway from the Utah State series, and specifically Game 1? That was the game you got hurt, but I think you guys scored 45 points. Was that the big takeaway from Game 1, that you guys weren't as aggressive as you need to be on offense?
That was definitely the biggest takeaway, and biggest takeaway from myself, and having 5 turnovers in that game was my aggressiveness, my tentativeness in the paint, and having the ball in the mid post, where I'm usually comfortable working. I felt I saw something different from the defense that night, and it just is what it is. We went back to the drawing board and saw that we were very tentative, very unaggressive, very unlike the team that we see in practice, that we saw in scrimmages, that we saw early on in the year. And so we got back to it. We went to the drawing board, got on the court, got more aggressive, got in each other, and change each other's mentality on the offensive end. And now I think we're going. I don't think one guy's bad night is going to stump the rest of the team and allow us to get into a rut. I think we're going to take that guy, allow him to pick up somewhere sort of the game, and be able to progress and get better, and come out of that rut. I just think that's where we are at this point, and I think that's where our motivation and our rhythm is.
Man, have you ever been to Lubbock, Texas?
I don't think so. I don't know what's there, but new places, new sights, and so I got to go with an open mind.
To the question that Bryce asked you earlier about this stretch of games, you've been winning them all by large margins, but I get the impression, just the way you approach the team. I know you got on some guys at Air Force after the first game, that sometimes just because you won by 30, that's not good enough. Can you kind of explain how you balance the final score versus your standards for where you guys should be at?
Well, going into the second half, having a bigger lead than usual, teams are definitely and the team that's up at halftime will definitely take a step back, ease off a little bit, and relax. I think that's the natural nature of any person that's playing a sport, is to relax once you're up, and you feel you have a comfortable lead. But our work over these last 4 games, and definitely this last series, and talking about Air Force, and how we kind of relaxed in the first game and relaxed a little bit in the second game, is talking about not relaxing, keeping that foot on the gas pedal, keep going, and kind of just keep scoring. There's just nothing really more to be said to it, and not having an aggressive mentality for a full 40 minutes is what gets teams in trouble. You could be up by 10, relax a little bit, and next thing you know, you're down by 5. So I think just in terms of that, it's just trying to be aggressive for a full 40 minutes, no matter whether you're up by 5, up by 10, up by 20. You just got to be aggressive.